You are now tuned in to West Coast Pop Gaming.
We gotta bring him down fast!
Yeah, what do we do?
Let us raise temperature.
Oh, bad, very bad!
Pete, are you okay?
Yo, what's up everybody? You already know what time it is. It's your boy Knock, representing West Coast Popcast, here with our first ever review for the channel and our subdivision West Coast Pop Gaming. It is Spider-Man Miles Morales for the PlayStation 5. I hope you guys enjoy. I played this game a ton, got about 25 hours in it, beat it twice, and got the platinum. So check out the review starting now.
No! Oh, no! I'm okay! I've got him! Headed your way. Be ready.
Okay. Yeah. Might, need a minute.
Let's get into it. What can I say about gameplay? It is absolutely fun. This is the funnest game I've played all year. Bar none, it's not even close. The gameplay has a lot of improvements from the first game. It's very smooth. I feel like the camera angles are a lot better. Even comparing to the Arkham games, it's more robust and a little bit unforgiving, I will say, as far as in the Arkham games I feel like you can button mash a bit and you'd be thrown all over the place. But in this game you actually have to be near the person. You can't just be pressing buttons. So I'll give them credit on that. I spent an absurd amount of time swinging around New York City, climbing buildings, searching for Avengers Tower, and a whole bunch of places I recognize. And of course, you can't have a Spider-Man game without the web swinging. I'm here to tell you, the web swinging, I felt this is the closest I'll be to feeling like Spider-Man, unless Marvel came to me tomorrow, knocked on my door, and said, hey, you're going to be the next Miles Morales. This game to me puts Insomniac on another level. They've come through with now Spider-Man, they had Ratchet and Clank, Sunset Overdrive, even lesser known Resistance. They've always got the gameplay down. They've committed, and Spider-Man feels so smooth. The 60 frames per second on the PS5 feels good. The haptic feedback on the PS5 controller, it complements it so well, and I thoroughly enjoyed web swinging. There's fast travel in this game, and I'd prefer to web swing sometimes, to be honest, because it just was that fun. So traversal alone is a huge plus. With open world games, to get around the city, you really need to have that down packed, whether you're driving or in this case swinging. They have it, and then some. You get tricks, you hit the square button, move your analog stick, and you do different tricks in different directions, whether it's a flip, a backflip, a corkscrew, and it really adds to it, builds your meter for experience. Now, as far as enemy types and actual fighting gameplay, the fighting mechanics, like I said, were very smooth. Without spoilers, you're going up against, your typical thugs. They have their own heavy, which adds to the difficulty. You get several different groups also that you're going to be fighting in the game. The boss fights. The boss fights aren't that many in this game, which could have made it better, but I think for the size of the game, it worked. But hopefully they have the fully fledged game coming out soon where it can have a lot more bosses. Some of the known villains in the game, you have Rhino, you have the Tinkerer. There are a few other surprises that I won't say here, but those bosses were cool. It just, the lack of them affected it a bit. That a bit of a negative for me. But let me tell you, when you're fighting, they give you gadgets. You have Miles' webs. He has his shock ability. He can go invisible. So there are some stealth elements. There's some stealth missions. And there's some stealth training missions. Peter Parker sets up these training modules around the city where you can train, whether it's stealth, combat, or traversal, which helps you get tokens so you can unlock stuff, whether the gadgets. So if you're coming off Spider-Man Remastered, you will get a fresh experience playing as Miles. It's vastly different than playing as Peter. I actually like playing as Miles more. I will admit, he gets a little OP after a while. I'd say about halfway through, I was just running through people. They had no answers for me. That's where the game felt a little too easy. I was playing in the hardest difficulty. But, I mean, you're a superhero. You're going to feel this way, so I can't fault them too much for that. But I would have loved a little more difficulty. Last thing I will touch on with the gameplay. Miles also has a Venom attack that you will upgrade throughout the game. He gets his own finisher. So mainly it's about building up your meter, using your spidey senses to make sure you're dodging the bullets, enemy attacks, all that good stuff. You get your finisher, and you just straight up go to town on these enemies. There are parts in this game, a boss fight in the middle and towards the end where I felt like I was legit playing a movie. No joke, I had to catch myself. I was in awe. And I will commend them for having these movie-like scenes, but not relying on QTEs, quick time events, and actually having actual gameplay. Made me feel like I was really doing something, I was immersed, and for gameplay I give them an A+.
Good luck, Miss Morales.
Thank you, Tim.
Look, Roxxon's really into the constant vigilance thing, huh?
For real.
Buenas noches, vecinos.
If there's anything this game proved, it is that you can have two different interpretations of the same character, Miles Morales, in the movies and now here in the game, and they can both still work and be amazing in their own way. In some ways, I enjoyed this game more than Spider-Verse the movie, and that's saying a lot. It's time to progress the stories and comics and have these new characters shine through and come to the forefront. The story isn't anything out of the blue. It's a typical comic book intro to a character, but man, it takes that formula and shines through. The characters really drive this. If you played Spider-Man Remastered, then you know Miles is going through a lot of changes. He just became Spider-Man. It's just him and his mom, and she's running for council. He becomes very overprotective, understandably, and he deals with a lot of personal battles in this game. Miles is going to make mistakes. You're going to see that. You're going to see him deal with that and grow. The growth in this is amazing. But what they really do well, despite all of his mistakes, is show that he really is a superhero at heart. Some of the characters include Rio, Miles' mother, Genki, his best friend, who is his tech guy. He helps with the gadgets, he gives you some of your upgrades, and he also creates an app which allows the citizens to directly call Spider-Man for help when they need it. That includes a whole lot of other side missions, from kidnappings to straight up saving someone's cat. Not gonna lie. But the variety is really nice, and that coupled with the gameplay, you really don't get tired of playing, especially the first playthrough. The game has 16 main missions, and if you play it through straight up, it'll probably take about 8 to 10 hours, maybe 12 to 15 if you try to do all the collectibles. So because of that length, I'll drop it down to a B+ overall. I hope they bring some extra content to it.
Go, go! Gotcha! Found something I'm better at than you.
Not for long.
I'm gonna be straight with y'all. I'm a little biased. As a New Yorker, it brings a tear to my eye to see how beautiful this game looks. New York City in the winter is a spectacle. It's a wonderland, and you get every bit of that. The city feels alive. I do compare this game a lot to Arkham City because Arkham City is the standard bearer, but Spider-Man really brings it to another level here. I'll give them the nod also in this aspect where the city, you feel like you're doing something. And by that I mean you're interacting with people on the streets, there are actual people running around, car chases, sporadic crimes you need to go after, all throughout the city. It really feels organic, like it's naturally happening in real time. So for that part, it's really immersive, it's really cool to see. Now, GTA 5 has the radio when you're driving in the car, but Spider-Man, when you're swinging, you have J. Jonah Jameson. This dude is ripping you to shreds, man. And it's just greatness. It's funny, it annoys me sometimes, but it's a cool touch, and the guy who played him did a really good job. On the flip side of that, there's another radio host in the game, Danica Hart, who while you're swinging around, Miles says, you know what, F that, Jameson, you're done. He listens to Hart instead, and she actually likes Spider-Man and gives her take on stuff that's happening in real time. So that's a pretty cool addition they had there also. Great job to that voice actor. The game is available on PS4, but it's one of those games you really need to play it on PS5. It's beautiful. It offers you two modes, performance mode, which is a clean 60 frames per second, 1080p, and a graphics mode, which gives you the sought after lushness of a 4K at a steady 30 frames per second. I played both. I don't think you go wrong either way you go, but if I had to choose and break it down, I'd choose the performance mode. The ray tracing is beautiful in the graphics mode, don't get me wrong, but with performance mode I felt like I still got the same visual fidelity while playing at a higher frame per second, and I really felt that smoothness and loved it while I was web swinging and doing the gameplay, which are the game's strongest aspects. I also want to give a shout out to those pedestrians who I just finished saving in this game that went and called me the fake Spider-Man. They are so disrespectful. I saved your life, bro. How you gonna call me the fake Spider-Man? So forget you. But again, that goes back to how alive the city feels and people giving you different reactions. You can handshake some people, you build real connections with some of the people you save in the side missions or you interact with. It's really cool, man. And I think they put a lot into this, and I commend Insomniac for what they did and what they delivered in this game. Now, as far as any bugs or issues while playing, I never had anything too crazy. I've seen some people swing around a Spider-Man and turn into like a fire hydrant or something crazy. That is absurd to me. I'm lucky that didn't happen to me. But in my 2 times playing the 25 hours I spent, the game crashed on me 3 times, which is not anything crazy at all. When you get a console day one, you boot up the game, these are things to be expected. I didn't have any game-breaking issues. The frame rate stayed pretty locked on for the most part. I don't think it dipped much at all. My memory never corrupted or anything like that. So I would say, especially being day one, this was a great experience, and I was not affected at all by any of these bugs. Again, it only crashed 3 times on me total, but besides that, I played very smooth throughout. So definitely not a deal breaker. And in fact, I'll give this part an A for environment and fidelity. So when you have an iconic character like Spider-Man, whether it's Peter Parker or Miles Morales, and you already got the web swinging down, the environment, and the gameplay, having all these amazing costumes is just icing on the cake. This man has the drip. I found myself changing outfits like a watch changes time. I mean, come on. A costume where a cat is in your backpack? Are you kidding me? This man had Timbs. A costume with Timbs? Only thing he was missing was that Yankee hat. Come on. The fit was on point. As you progress in the story, whether it's side missions or the main story, you will unlock some of the costumes on their own. Some of them you do have to purchase. They each come with their own power-ups, but you can alternate different power-ups and attributes. They even had the Spiderverse costume in here. Now, if you did watch Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, you will know that the frame rate in that movie is different, and they have that attached to the costume when you switch, which in theory is a really cool idea, and for the first few moments it's fun, but I wouldn't recommend playing the game like that, because it's just kind of weird, especially when you're so used to the 60 frames per second. Did I say this man was rocking Timbs? I mean, I'm running people's fades in some Timbs, stomping them out. Come on. Come on. I'm a New Yorker, man. Come on. Now, as far as upgrades, you have your whole skill tree. You have the gadgets you upgrade. You have your costume and attributes you upgrade. When you upgrade your skill tree, you have 3 tree branches that you can upgrade from: the camouflage, the venom skills, and combat skills. And let me tell you, man, when you upgrade those venom skills, you really gonna be feeling like the man. If you upgrade those, by the end of the game, everything's gonna be a breeze for you. If you upgrade the camouflage, that's gonna help you with stuff like the side missions. Specifically when you're infiltrating a base, they will come in handy mostly there. But I will say, for the most part, none of the upgrades felt useless to me. They all felt like it made me stronger, which that's how a skill tree should feel, whether it was the gadgets or the skill tree. So I commend them on that. They did it very well. Of course, there's a trophy to accompany maxing out your attributes. In my first playthrough, I did everything I could before beating the game, and I was able to clear, I'd say, 95% of the upgrades and whatnot. And then in a second playthrough, I got the last like 2 or 3 things I needed. You're able to upgrade by getting all the various collectibles throughout the city, doing the Peter Parker challenges. Each Peter Parker challenge has 3 tiers. The highest tier is the ultimate. That's what you want to strive for to get the most out of it so you can upgrade quicker. And like I said before, they have a whole bunch of crimes just sporadically popping up out of nowhere that you'll get on your feed to go after. You have side missions. You have missions from the app that Genki set up for you. Even though the game is short, they really know how to maximize their time, and you're not doing a whole bunch of tedious side missions. They are actually enjoyable. Only thing stopping this game from being perfect in my eyes was its length, being a little too easy. I just needed a few more bosses. I can't wait for the sequel. We're going to be playing as both Spider-Mans, I'm sure. It's going to be a great game. This was a 9 out of 10 for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Shout out to the thug on the street who shot me with a rocket launcher point blank. I took great pleasure in stomping you out. Great game. God of War is next. Peace out, y'all.